Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to share about how you can manage the view states on your view controller. So let me give you an example. Let's assume you're making an API call. This is a async request and it takes a while for the server to return the data back to you. So in the meantime, what do? You want to show some kind of loading animation. So in this video, we're going to use the skeleton view, and then when the data comes back from the server, we want to update the UI, right? And in the event if there's an error, for instance, backend returns a 500 or 400, or the JSON does not match your model and the parsing fails, then we want to show some kind of error screen and maybe also allow the user to retry to make the request. Okay, so we're going to learn about how we can do that, creating a custom loading screen, okay, using skeleton view. So I think it's easier to just show you what I have inside this demo project, and then you can decide if this video is what you want to follow along. Okay, so right now when I load the view controller, I have this animating loading screen, and upon the API call coming back, I update the view with an image view as well as my name and the email over here. So if you can see over here on my view controller, I'm mocking this API so I can control whether the API succeeds or it fails. Okay, so now let's mock this to fail for us, and let's see what happens. Okay, so on view deload, we make the API call, it shows the loading screen, and then it fails and it shows up some kind of error. This time we are having a custom view over here, so I make this really simple, and it has a try again button, and this time when I click on the try again button, I'm going to change that API should succeed to true, and I'm going to make the API call again, and this time it should succeed. So let's see what happens when I tap on the try again. Okay, so I'm going to again simulate making an API call, so showing the animation, and then when the callback happens, we are going to update the screen, so update the UI. All right, I hope that this is clear, and I'm going to create a brand new project from scratch. Okay, but before that, I want to share that initially when I was preparing for this lesson, I built this in the MVVM architecture, and I had like dependency injection and all that really cool stuff. And I tried recording this like 4 hours ago, and I realized that I was recording till about 40 to 45 minutes. And I wasn't even completed then, so I thought that I need to scale this down, and I'm going to build this first in the MVC architecture because that's the easiest. So I just want to share this idea how you can implement that, and then I'm going to create a part 2 of this video where how I'll refactor this to the MVVM architecture and add all that bells and whistles. Okay, so we're going to start with a very simple project right now. So let's open up a brand new Xcode project. Okay, so I'm going to do that right here over here. And then let's call this loading, I don't know, let's call this view states demo. Okay, then maybe let's save this inside my desktop over here. Okay, all right, so the first thing we want to do is to add 2 libraries to this project because as you see, I have an image inside the over here, so I'm going to use SD web image. And we also need the skeleton view to handle the animating view. Okay, so let's do that first. So I'm going to do that via Swift Package Manager. So come over to the project, come over to this one here, and then under package dependency, I'm going to add two libraries over here. So what am I going to add? I'm going to add this one over here, skeleton view. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me just bring this out of the way. So I'm going to use that as my guide. So from time to time, I'm just going to reference that. Okay, so hit the plus button, paste it here, skeleton view, and I just want it to the next minor version. Okay, hit add package. So if you are not familiar what I'm doing right now, this is basically adding a library. If you are familiar with CocoaPods, this is exactly that. Okay, just the cooler version of doing things right now. And I also want to add the SD web image, so I'm going to copy the URL from the other project, come over here, hit the plus button, paste this here, and then again I want it to be the up to next minor version. Okay, so that should get one of the newer versions of the library. Okay, now that I'm done, okay, hit add package. Okay, now that I'm done, let me just come to the view controller. And I'm going to create a couple of folders over here because one of the viewers from the other video commented that I'm not segregating the code enough. So that was a valid criticism. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to separate the code this time. So we're going to have controller, we're going to have model, and then we're going to have the view. Okay. All right. So in the controller, I'm going to build this in MVC. So typically, what are the states that we have? We usually have the loading state, and then we have the the completed state, or the content state, where we get the model that's being passed from the JSON payload, and then we display whatever that the screen is intended for. Or the last state would be the error. Okay, so I think it's easier for us to just create the view state over here. So what are the possible states that we can have? So I'm going to do loading, and then I'm going to do content. Okay, so the content usually will be accompanied with some kind of model. So I'm just going to make this really generic right now. So a value over here, and then error. Okay, so I'm also going to create a protocol over here. So I'm going to call this view stateable. Okay, and I want to make sure that only view controllers can implement this protocol. Okay, so self UI, oops, sorry guys, I know it's a bit small over here. Let me just make this bigger. Okay, where self equals to UI view controller. All right, so only view controller can implement view stateable. Okay, so what I want to do is that I'm going to use combine to handle this state. So let me just import that first. And then I'm going to say that any view controller that implements view stateable needs to have something called a state subject. Okay, so and this will be a pass-through subject. So the reason why we use a pass-through subject is because we don't want to have an initial value. Okay, so view state and then never, just like that. Alright guys, I hope that this is easy to understand now. Why is it failing? Let me just have a quick look. Oh, okay. Oh, it's because I set my own mobile. Okay, so let me just change this to iPhone 13 Pro. Let me run the simulator and it should return a blank screen. Okay, let me just ensure that this is compiling. Okay, in the meanwhile, let's conform this view stateable to the view controller. Okay, so come over here, do command B. It's going to complain. It's going to say, hey, you need to have the state subject over here. Okay, so let's do let state subject equals to this, and then I'm going to just initialize this just like that. Command B again to build. This should pass. Okay, so what I want to do is that I'm also going to create a flag over here so that I can mock the API call, so to speak. So I'm going to call this API should succeed. Okay, this will be a boolean, and I'm going to set this to be false. Okay, maybe let's set this to be true first. Okay, then later we can tweak it to false. Okay, so command B to build. Again, I'm going to do an observe. So I'm going to have an observe function over here to observe the state of this subject over here, the state subject. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me just have a quick look. Okay, great. Okay, so typically the business logic is that upon view did load, I want to make the API call. So let's do that. Okay, again, I'm not going to include any dependency injection, and I mean the better way of doing things. I'm going to do a quick hack to just show you the principle of how you can transit between the view states. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fetch user profile over here. Again, not the best practice. It should have a view model. Okay, so what's going to happen is that I'm going to mock this by creating a strut, some kind of model. So let me go to model and let's add a new file. So let's assume that this page is a user profile page, and I'm going to create a user model. Okay, so let me have a look at my reference over here. Okay, so strut user, and then I'm going to have just 3 properties. So name, email, and then an avatar URL, okay, which is of type string. And I want to have a mock user, so to speak. So I can do static var mock, which is of type user, and I can do .init. So maybe my name, email will be this. And then for the avatar URL, I've already selected one myself, so I went to Unsplash and took a random photo. So you can add whatever image that you want over here. Okay, so I have a mock user here. And then let's come over here. Okay, so this fetch user profile is basically making the API call, so to speak. So I'm going to add some kind of delay, so to make this a bit more realistic. Okay, so I'm going to add some kind of maybe like a 3-second delay. So now plus 3.0, and then I'm going to say if API should succeed, else. Okay, so if API should succeed, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to update the state subject dot send. Okay, and what am I going to send? I'm going to send a content. Okay, dot content of value, and the value is of type any optional. Okay, it's complaining because this is a closure, so let me add oneself over here, and I believe if I do Command B, it should work this time. Okay, so what is the value that I want to pass in? I want to pass in that mock user, so I can do user.mock. Okay, I think that is fine. Otherwise, what I want to do is state subject.send, and I want to send an error instead. Okay, so I hope that this is easy to understand now. Okay, but when I call fetch user profile, while there is that 3 seconds delay, I want to show the loading animation. Okay, so what I'm going to do is state subject.send, and then I'm going to do loading over here. Alright guys, I hope that this is easy to understand so far. So fetch user profile over here. Okay, Command B to build this should succeed. Alright guys, so what does observe? What do we want to do in observe? We want to observe this state subject over here. Okay, so we can do state subject dot sync. Okay, and this is the state. So rather than handling all the implementation over here, I want to bring it out into another private function. So you know what, I'm going to, okay, but before that, I think I do need the any cancellables. Cancellables equals to set any cancelable. Okay, just like that. And I have to store this inside, oops, not here, any cancellables. Okay, so I'm going to create another function over here called private func update view, and then this view will handle the state over here, the view state. Okay, so over here I'm going to do self. Okay, so let's do a weak self here, update view, and then I have the state, so let me just pass this in. Okay, so the last thing that we want to do, sorry, not the last thing, but the next thing that we want to do is that because we're going to handle UI inside this function, I think it's better to ensure that we're running on the main thread. So I'm going to do receive on, and then we can do run loop.main. Okay, so I believe you can also replace this with dispatch queue.main. I think that should be the same as well. Okay, so over here we're going to switch whoops, can I just switch the state, and Xcode help me automatically do that? All right, over here. Okay, so depending on the state, we are going to handle the views to show on the UI, right? So I'm going to create the views over here, and let's create a let's call this a user profile loading view. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this project, you can have many different kind of loading view. I mean, if you want to, only have one kind of loading view, it can just be loading view. But let's suppose that for this particular page, it's called user profile. For this particular view controller, it's user profile. So I'm going to name the loading view as user profile loading view. Okay, so let's create that. And obviously, this is a view. We need UI kit, and I'm going to get that from my reference. Where is that? User profile loading view. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this and paste this here, and then I'm going to explain. Okay, all right, so because most of this is just view code and I don't want to really bore you with it, but I'm going to run through this with you. So UI kit, we import skeleton view so that we can use the skeleton animation. Command B to build to ensure that this passes first. Oops, build fail. What happens? Oh, it's because of of these things over here. Let me just comment this out. Command B to build this. I just want to ensure that the view is okay over here. So let's run through this. I have a profile view, I have a name view, and I have an email view. So this will be, let me just run the previous project. So if you see the content itself, oops, this is the wrong one. Let me just fix that real quick. True. Okay, so if you see the content view itself, I have an avatar, an image view over here. I have my name over here, and I have my email over here. All right, so this three different property over here is to create those objects. Okay, build animated views. What is that? Okay, at the bottom over here, it's just creating a view, setting a background color, and setting the is skeletonable property to be true, so that you know skeleton view will work on this view. Okay, so over here I have three views over here. I have a stack view, and this stack view is to build those three boxes over here. So let me just run that again. So there's three boxes over here. So what I want to show you is that, you know, this loading view can be customizable. You can build this, you know, even if it's different from the actual content view itself. Okay, so I have a stack view over here, and then what I do over here is in the layout function, which is being called in the initializer, I'm going to add those views as the stack view. I'm going to do some auto layout over here, you know, creating some corner radius so that the profile view is circle. And then I have a function over here that says start animating. Okay, so basically the parent who is adding this view can call this function to animate those views. Okay, so this is done right now. So what I'm going to do is let's come back to the view controller and let's comment this out. And then I'm going to do let loading view equals to user profile loading view. Let's initialize this, and then what we want to do is we want to add this loading view into the content view of our view controller, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to create an extension of view so that we can not repeat the code. So let me just do that right now. First, extension, and then let's do view UI view plus extension. Okay, so over here I'm going to copy and paste again and explain everything to you. So UI kit. Okay, what do we have here? We have a UI view extension, and then we have a function that says pin to parent. Okay, so this accepts a parent view, and what it does is that we just get the parent view to add this view as a sub view, and then we just pin the top, leading, trailing, and bottom ankle to the parent itself. All right, so I think that is quite easy to understand. And then I've also another function called remove all sub views. Okay, so whichever view it is, you can use the remove all sub views to just remove all sub views. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here, and every time I update this view, I want to remove all the sub views inside the view of the view controller. All right, so I'm going to do view dot remove all sub views over here. And then because I have that pin to parent, I can do loading view dot pin to parent. And who is the parent? The parent is the view of the view controller, which is view over here. Okay, so I hope that is easy to understand. And then finally, I want to do loading view. We want to start animating. Okay, so you know what? Maybe I'm just going to break over here for the time being, and let's run this and let's see if we are seeing that skeleton loading view. Okay, so let me just run this right now. View succeeded, and then yes, we are seeing that loading animation right now, which is great. Okay, so now we want to handle the content as well as the error case. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the view again, and then I'm going to add a new view, and let me call this user profile content view. Okay, so again, let's import UI kit, and you know what, I'm going to just copy everything over here, and I'm going to explain. All right, guys. So we have UI kit here. We have SD web image over here because I have to set an image to an image view. So over here, let's see what we do have. Okay, at the top over here, we have a profile image view. We have the name label. We have the email label. That's easy to understand. And then again, very similar to the to the loading view. I'm going to add all these views as sub views into this user profile content view, and then I'm going to do some auto layout over here. Okay, very similar. I think it's like 95% the same. Okay, and then I'm going to include a function called configure where I can pass in a user object. And once I have this user object, I'm going to update the image view with the avatar URL, as well as update the name label and the email label. Okay, so really easy to understand stuff. Okay, so let's come back over here, and then let's do let content view equals to user profile content view. Let's initialize this, and then I'm going to do, okay, content view dot configure. Okay, so I have to pass in a user subject. Again, if you want to keep this generic view state, you can use value of type any, but in fact you can also, you know, make this like more customized to the view controller. You can do like user profile view state, and then you can make this user and user over here. Okay, but I'm going to keep this generic, so I'm going to do it this way. So what I'm going to do over here is I want to guard let user equals to value as user, else I'm going to do fader error. Okay, so now I have this one over here. I can do user right here. Okay, I think what else do I need to do? I have to do content view dot pin to parent. And who is the parent? That is the view of the UI controller, which is view over here. So let me just do command R to build. And I believe I mocked this to be true, so I should see the animation. And then after 3 seconds, I should be able to see my name, my email, as well as my avatar. Okay, so let's just wait while Xcode work its magic. Okay, build fail. Why is the build failing? Let's have a look. Oh, why is this changed over here? Oh, what just happened? Hey guys, I just find it completely ridiculous that Xcode just decide to update while I'm recording this. But anyway, it's working now. What the heck? As you can see, I'm on iOS 16 right now, and I don't know why Xcode would do that. Anyway, let's continue. Alright, so anyway, as you can see, I have my content view over here, and then let's finally handle the error screen, okay? So I'm going to come over to the view and let's create a new file, and let's call this user profile error screen, user profile, maybe error view. Okay, so just like that, and then I'm gonna copy what I have over here in my reference project and just paste it over here. So let's go through the code, shall we? Again, UI kit, I've combined over here. This is called the user profile error view, which is of type UI view. So this part, let me explain a bit later, but let me just go through what are the components that we have. We have an image view, we have a label that says, oops, something went wrong. And we have a try again button over here, okay? So it has a target over here that pointing to button tap. So I have a stack view, to put all those elements together, and then some auto layout code over here. Okay, so inside this button tap function, I use this retry button tap subject. Let's see what this is. This is a pass-through subject. Okay, so I'm going to send an event that the retry button is being tapped right over here. Okay, when I call the .send method. Okay, what happens over here is that this is a private function, but I want to expose this. Okay, so I'm going to expose this using this way, retry button tap publisher, because this is of type any publisher. And then what I do is that, retry button I'm just going to call the erase to any publisher method. Okay, so let's come over to the main view controller, and over here let's handle this error. Okay, so I'm going to do let error view equals to user profile error view. Wow, okay, it looks really different here. And then I'm going to, okay, let me have a look at my reference code here. I'm going to do error view dot pin to parent, and the parent will be view. So let me just quickly run this. You know what, in fact, let me just change this to false so that you can see the error view being shown, because currently right now we are in the success case, so we don't see that. So let's change this to false, And then after loading the animation, I should see the error view. Okay, so let's see if that's showing up in the first place. Okay, over here, great. Okay, again, you can design this view any way you like, just modifying this this UI view over here. Okay, you can add a background image, it's completely up to you. And then now we want to handle when the try again button is being tapped. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Okay, so notice that inside the error view, I have a tab publisher. So I'm going to do error view dot retry button tab publisher. I'm going to sync. Okay, and then I'm going to change the API should succeed flag to be true. Okay, and this time I'm going to call fetch user profile. Okay, maybe I have to add a weak self over here. So let me do it this way instead. Okay, so let's run this right now and let's see if we are getting what we are expecting. Okay, whoops, I realized I forget something. I need to store this inside the cancelables. Okay, so this time I'm going to see the loading screen and then the error screen. And then when I click on the try again button, I'm going to mock the API call to succeed and I should see the content screen. Okay, so let's see if that's working. Alright guys, this is the end of the video and I hope that you learned something from this. If you have used Swift UI before, you realize that the concepts are very similar. You are basically observing a state. Well, obviously in UI Kit, the code is a lot more verbose. You have to type a lot more. But I do think that it gives you a little bit more control. Okay, so as you can see, this is in MVC. And in the next part of the video, I'm going to refactor this to the MVVM architecture, and then we're going to do the data, the DI, and the dependency injection and all that jazz. All right, I hope that this has been helpful. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think, and what kind of content that you hope to see from this channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.